On this piece of paper, I have every single one of my 2024-25 Premier League predictions. We're going to kick it straight off. 20th place, I put Ipswich Town. Now, 2 seasons ago, these lads were in League One. No offence to them, but I just don't think they're quite ready for the Premier League. Did so well last season. They went up automatically. They didn't even need the playoffs. They were pretty consistent. They kept scoring last-minute winners, and they did well. They did so well. They've come up twice. As a City fan, I wasn't alive, but I know what it means to go up twice in a row, and it's very good. But I just think they're going to go down, and they might come back up to the Prem. They might be back, but I think they've maybe gone a step too far coming up into the Premier League this early in this little Kieran McKenna spike in their recent history. So 20th place, Ipswich Town. I think they'll put on a few good shows, but I don't think they're staying up. 19th, now this is a nightmare of an away game, so I kind of hope they do go down. Southampton, they did well, they came up through the playoffs, but I just don't think they've quite got enough to stay up. I think they've been in the Premier League obviously a long time before last season. They've yo-yoed straight back up, and I think they're going to go down again. I don't think the squad's quite good enough for them to stay up. 18th, this might be a shock for some of you. I've gone for Brentford. Now, Thomas Frank has done a good job at Brentford. He got them up. He's kept them up for 3 years now, I believe. And I think they've overstayed their welcome a little bit. I think Tony last season didn't quite do what I thought he was going to do in the second part of the season. They could still lose him. Obviously, last season they missed him due to his ban. I think Tony and the lads are going down. So that's another one. And that's the 3 relegated sides. Brentford in 18th. And the company finishing first for train travel is TrainPal. A huge thanks to them for sponsoring this video. I am always using trains to get to the Etihad. If I ever have to go to Old Trafford, Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal, wherever I'm going, trains are so important. With TrainPal, not only do you get the cheapest tickets with split tickets, there are no booking fees like many other train ticket providers. If that's not enough, you can save 1/3 with a rail card. Buy any rail card and save up to 34% with code MCFC. And not just that, new users on any tickets can get 5% off with the same code. And if you've already got TrainPal, big up to you, and you can get yourself 2% off. Once again, thanks to TrainPal for sponsoring this. Finishing first for train tickets. 17th. Now, this one is going to be a struggle if they do stay up, but I back them, Leicester City. They've lost their manager. They've got Steve Cooper from Forest in, which I thought was really weird. But that's what they've done. Steve Cooper, of course, has a lot of experience with Forest. He managed to keep them up in their first season. They're still here. And I think he'll do all right. I think he'll do all right at Leicester. They've obviously got some interesting players. They've lost the likes of Dewsbury Hall, but I think Vardy and the lads, I think, are going to just about stay up, and they're going to finish 17th. 16th, we just talked about them, is Forest for me. I think Forest spent a lot when they first came up. It just about paid off. I thought at periods last season, I thought, what is going on? The same with the season before, but they've just about stayed up on both occasions. And I back them. They've got some decent players. I back them to stay up. I don't think they're going to do incredibly well, but they always have a few big games. They always beat a few big sides, and I think they'll do the same. City Ground's a tough place to go. Loud atmosphere there. Away from home, I don't think they're quite as good, but I think Forest will stay up, and they're going to finish 16th. 15th. Now, these will struggle. I think there will be periods of this season where Bournemouth struggle. They're coming 15th. That's my prediction. I think Dominic Solanke, he contributed 19 goals. By himself alone last season. They did really well, Bournemouth, last season. I think 15th's about right for them. I think they're going to struggle without him. He's gone to Tottenham, 65 million. And I think they'll probably take that. If you ask Bournemouth fans now, you're going to stay up, I think they'd probably take that. So 15th for them. 14th, I've gone with Everton. Now, without that points deduction last season, they'd have finished a lot higher up in the league. And Sean Dyche, I obviously rate. Interesting at times. Football can be very defensive, but he gets the job done. And Everton, I think, some decent business. Onana gone to Villa for big cash. And I think they're doing a lot of the right things with Sean Dyche. But I don't know whether they might get more points deducted. That's why I've gone with a safe 14th prediction with Everton. They might do better, but I'm not sure what lies ahead. And I think Dyche is probably going the right way with them. So I'm going to say 14th for Everton. In 13th, now, they've recently expanded the ground. They've made a few interesting, Fulham, 13th. I really don't know which way to go with Fulham, because part of me says they could somehow go down. And part of me wants to put them high up, part of me wants to put them down. I've just gone 13th, bang in the middle. as with Wolves, I don't know what they're going to do. I think the manager last season when he came in did really well. I expected Wolves to struggle and maybe go down, and they put a solid shift and did well. 12th for Fulham. 11th, just missing out on a top half finish. Gone with Crystal Palace, and that's purely because I don't know where the likes of Adam Wharton, Eze are going to end up being by the end of the window. It's not over until September, of course. And I think Palace did incredibly well. The new manager did so well when he came in, replacing Roy Hodgson. He has really got that team playing well. They were one of the best sides in the second part of last season. And I think Palace think they are going to do pretty well. They're going to come 11th. Our FPL code is on screen. Pause and make sure you join. We had 5,000 people in last year. In 10th, top half just about, is Brighton. Now, for me, Brighton, it's a shame for them that De Zerbi has left. But I'm confident they'll still keep playing well, and I think they're going to finish top half. I don't think they're quite going to get into Europe like they have in previous seasons, but I think they'll probably take that top half, steady the ship with a new manager. And I've always liked the way Brighton run their club. I've always, thought they're a good side. 10th for them. 9th, this one could come as a shock to a lot of you. I've gone for Aston Villa. 9th for them. Now, the reason I say this is because I think they've made some decent signings, right? Ross Barkley, I think, is a good signing. Onana could be a good signing. But they've lost Diaby. Do you know what I mean? Watkins is going to keep banging the goals in, but they've lost some players that I think you're going to struggle to replace them. They're also in the Champions League. Now, I think people underestimate how difficult it is to enter that competition for the first time in a long time. They did all right in Europe last season, but I expected them to go a bit further in that Conference League. I believe they were knocked out in, I think it was the quarterfinals. And it's not going to be an amazing season for Villa. 9th, I think they're going to just about miss out in Europe. I think they're really going to struggle, maybe with injuries with the Champions League. It's going to be a busy schedule. They might have a nice cup run in another competition. Could see that happening. I just think Emery's done so well since he came in. I just don't think they're quite going to do it the same in the league this season. They're going to struggle a little bit, and they're going to finish 9th. There won't be too many points off the European spots, but I think they're going to finish 9th. In 8th place now. Now we're closing in on what could maybe be a European spot. I think it'll be the top 7 that end up being the European places. But top 8, and in 8th place, I'm going to put Chelsea. Now, Chelsea, for me, I don't know what they're playing at. I don't think the strategy works. They just sign a million players and hope one comes off like Cole Palmer did last season. But again, a new manager, Enzo Maresca, got Leicester promoted as champions in the Championship last season. I'm not sure. I think he's going to try his best, but I just think Todd Bowley, or whatever he's called, at Chelsea, the American guy, doesn't have a clue. They just signed way too many players. They've spent way too much. They're selling players left, right and centre. I don't know what's going on there. It's an absolute mess. And I think they're going to come 8th. I don't think they get into Europe. In 7th, this is a team that are going to improve massively on their 8th place finish last season. It's Man United, and they're going to finish 7th. I think United obviously didn't finish high enough last season to get into Europe. They came 8th. They, of course, beat us at Wembley 2-1 in the FA Cup final, and that's why they're in Europe this season, the Europa League. They're not good enough. They're not good enough. I don't think they've been too fortunate with injuries, just like last season. They've started off in the wrong way, but Ten Hag and this idea of having 3 managers and all this stuff, Van Nistelrooy back, don't back him. I think United are terrible, and I think they're going to finish 7th. This one is going to come as a surprise to a lot of you. West Ham. Lopetegui comes in. I'm really liking some of the signings they've made. They've kept hold of a lot of the good players, and I think West Ham are going to finish 6th. I rate Lopetegui when he was at Wolves. He's got an interesting style of play. I think West Ham are going to get 6th. I think Moyes is gone. That's the end of an era almost for them, but I think they're going to kick on. I think they're going to improve, and they're going to come 6th. In 5th, this is a team that aren't playing in Europe, that maybe could be or should be. They didn't do well enough last season in the league. They tried their best in the Champions League, but bottomed the group. They're going to come 5th this season. I think Newcastle fans would probably be happy with that. Just about missing out on top 4. I think they're going to come 5th, Newcastle. I think that'll be a good finish. They've not been able to do too much business. They've kept hold of Bruno, though, who I think is an amazing player. I'd love to have him at City. They've kept hold of him. And at the end of the day, they've had to sell a couple of players to keep up the FFP stuff. But I think Newcastle have kept hold of the majority of their good players like Isak. I think they're going to do well. They're going to come 5th. New manager for Liverpool, who I think are going to come 4th. Arne Slot, I don't know what he's going to do. The reason I put them 4th is because the basis of the team is the same as when Klopp was there. I think they're a good side. I think they're not going to quite do that well. They're not going to impress too much. You might struggle to settle in a little bit, Arne Slot, but I think they're going to come 4th. And yeah, You might be wondering, why have I not mentioned Tottenham Hotspur? And that's because I somehow think they're going to come third. I think they did really well at the start of last season. They had a lot of interesting games, really interesting to watch. They had a lot of injuries as well. But I think Postecoglou is a crazy guy. I think his football is crazy. But I think he's really instilled a new culture around the club. I think they've signed a striker which Tottenham needed from Bournemouth, guaranteed goals in Dom Solanke. I think they're going to do well. I think they're going to do really, really well. I don't think they're going to be touching the top two, but I think they're going to do really well. And I think Spurs are going to finish third. Now, that's probably quite rogue to some of you, but I think the Spuds are going to come third. In second now, this is closing in on dangerous territory. Will City win the league? Who's coming second? Arsenal are coming second, and Manchester City are going to win 5 in a row, the 5th league title in a row. No one had ever done 4 before. We've done it. We're making history every season. And I think it's going to be very, very close. I think Arsenal have made some great signings. Arteta knows what he's doing. They've got Rice last season. They've signed a new centre-back. I don't think they're going to get a striker, though, which could be what costs them of the league title. And I think they're going to fall just short. I think City are going to win the league. Those are my predictions. Hopefully you have enjoyed this predictions video. Make sure you come back and have a look at the end of the season or partway through the season to see how I did. But yeah, leave your comments down below with what you think is going to happen, where you think different teams are going to finish. And I'll see you in the next one. Chelsea away. Come on.